Chapter 7. Velveeta ignored Travis all day Tuesday. She didn't jab him in the neck one time during social studies, and when Miss Gordon said they'd be working on projects the next day, she didn't say a word. He'd figured the social studies project would ruin everything, but he wasn't ready for it to happen quite so fast. She didn't look over at him during reading. She sat with a bunch of girls at lunch, and he sat alone with Amber Raleigh at the other end of the table reading. At least in Salisbury, he ate with the other dumb kids, not all by himself. After school, Travis couldn't bring himself to go back to the empty house. He turned off Main onto a shady side street. A block down, a gravel alley on his right opened into a park. Trees scattered shade over rusty playground equipment, and beyond that, wooden bleachers flanked a baseball diamond behind the Main Street taverns. He threw his backpack on the grass and sat on an ancient merry-go-round. The surface radiated warmth, and Travis pushed the old metal loose from its rust. The unbalanced weight made it dip squeak as it went around. He pushed again, and the toe of his white sock, sticking out of the hole in his sneaker, came up brown from the dust. Once he got some motion going, he lay back and watched the green leaves overhead swirl against the deep blue backdrop. "Hey, Travis!" He sat up sharp. Bradley Whistler stood looking down at him. Travis dragged his foot to brake. Bradley went to the other side of the merry-go-round and kicked a few times to get it going again. The change in weight took out the dip motion, but it still squeaked every time Travis passed the slide. "What you doing?" asked Travis. "Nothing," asked Bradley. "Nothing," said Travis. They squeaked around a few times, and then Bradley said, "So, I was wondering, did you know Velveeta before?" "No. Why?" "Because you two are tight, and it's only the second week. She sits by you every day at lunch." "Every day till now." Bradley must not have seen him sitting alone. How do you know her?" "Well, I don't really," said Travis. "Sure seems like she likes you." She only liked him because of Bradley's shoe, and that was over now anyway. The merry-go-round squeaks grew louder in the silence, slowed, then ground to a stop. Bradley got off, grabbed the handlebars, pushed a few steps to get it going again, and jumped back up. "People say a lot of stuff about her," he said. "Like what?" "Lots of stuff, like she gets drunk every night, and her brother's a drug dealer, and she goes the wild thing with older guys. I don't think it's all true, though." Travis dug his heel into the dust and stopped circling. He shifted sideways to look at Bradley. "Well, if you don't think it's true, why are you saying it?" Bradley blinked and cocked his head. Why did I say it?" Roger, that's a really good question." He looked down at his feet for a long moment, then back up at Travis. "You know how sometimes you don't know something is stupid until it falls out of your mouth and then it's too late?" Travis didn't have an answer for that one. Since he usually kept his stupid thoughts in his own head, he pushed out with his foot to get the squeak going again. "I think Velveeta is smart," said Bradley. "I used to think she was dumb." "Why'd you think that?" "She wore the same clothes all the time and got in fights and stuff. You know how that can make someone seem dumb. So are you going out with her?" "No." "Not doing the wild thing?" Travis shot Bradley a look. "Kidding," said Bradley, putting his hands up. "Sorry. I gotta go." Travis dragged his foot to stop the spin. Bradley was starting to make him twitchy. He didn't need a twitch right now. "Later, Brad." Bradley. "Okay, Bradley," said Travis. He picked up his backpack and started walking. Bradley followed him. "I'm sorry, that wasn't funny about you and Velveeta and the wild thing. I meant it to be funny. I like Velveeta, but I'm kind of scared of her. I've never talked to her." "Never?" "Well, sometimes when we're in a group or something, but that's all. I think of her as having a sword in her mouth that she whips out and chops you up with before you can even figure out what's going on. So really, you're not going out? You're just friends?" "We're not going out." Travis said it harder with an edge. "How did you get to be friends? I've never been friends with a girl." They cut between the buildings to Main Street. Bradley either didn't notice that Travis was edgy or he didn't care. He kept right on like they were buddies, like they talked about girls and friends all the time. "I turn here," he said when they got to Water Street. "See you tomorrow?" No smoking guys on the picnic table, so Travis leaned on the bridge railing and watched Bradley walk along Water Street. He'd really been dumb enough to think Velveeta might be his friend. That lasted just long enough to hurt when it was gone. Now he was down to nothing. Unless he counted Bradley. Travis half wished the picnic table guys would come up behind him. Wished they'd start something, and then he could blow loose all over them. And whatever happened, it wouldn't be his fault. The next morning, Travis turned from his locker between the first and second belt and slammed into Chad Cormack. "Watch it, Roberts," said Cormack. Travis's breath stopped in his throat. Cormack shifted in front of him, blocking his way. Travis's shoulders crawled up around his neck, and his hands twitched toward fists. "How's your hoop?" Cormack asked. "My what?" Cormack balanced an imaginary basketball overhead with his right hand, bent his knees, and delivered the ball, jumping high and flicking his wrist. He watched his shot, his hand still hanging in the air, and then shook his head. "Air ball," he turned to Travis. "Hoop, do you?" Not really. Travis's heart still hammered, but his back relaxed and his shoulders eased down. "Well, it's time to start," said Chad. "This school has a height problem. Did you notice? We went 1-9 last year. We practiced in the gym at lunch. You and me and the shorties. Maybe we can go at least 50-50. "I suck." Travis moved to go around Cormac. "Tall beat sucks, short suck. Tall suck beats short suck." Cormac sidestepped in front of him. "Maybe you need a little practice." Just as Travis started to feel crowded, Cormac hopped back, grinned, and dribbled his air ball on the floor between them, practically begging Travis to reach out and make the steal. When he didn't move, Chad juked left and ran down the hall, still dribbling. Travis moved along on the wave of kids to first period. Relief rivered down his neck and through his shoulders. A fight in the hallway had said Bluefish almost as clear as tripping over every word when you read out loud. He sat in front of Velveeta's empty seat. She came in the door just as the last bell rang. "I see Chad tried to seduce you with his basketball dreams," she said as she slid into her chair. Travis turned, surprised she was talking to him. She grinned and wiggled her eyebrows. "Velveeta sees all. He asked me yesterday if you played, so I knew he'd be on you about it. You're the only guy in the class taller than him." "Tall doesn't mean good." "We need some tall here. Have you noticed how short all the guys are?" she said. "It's something in the water. Just watch. Cormac only drinks bottled. So you're not going to start basketball at lunch?" "No, I don't like basketball." "I like you more all the time. I know you were pining for me at lunch yesterday, so today I will once again grace you with my Velveetic presence." She flipped her scarf dramatically over her face and batted her eyelashes at him. He faced front quickly so she wouldn't see the big smile breaking across his face. "Okay, settle down," called Miss Gordon. "Tomorrow we're going to take the whole class period to work on your projects, so make sure you have everything you need for that. Presentations start Monday." "Did you read your part yet?" Velveeta asked. Travis shook his head. Velveeta tapped her pencil on the tip of his ear. "Get on it," she whispered. Velveeta on Wednesday. "I decided why I like Travis. It's not just the pretty eyes. It's everything he doesn't say. I sat with Becca and Megan and Cassidy yesterday, and their mouths gushed like fire hydrants, spray blasting me the whole time. They talked about Travis and said he's cute but dumb and boring, and they waited for me to agree, but I did not. I said nothing for once. So then they talked about everything else in the whole school. You want to talk about boring? That was boring." "Okay, I know. I spray more words out than anybody. I know that. But at least I'm not boring. Not to me, anyway. Maybe nobody is boring to themselves, but we all bore the heck out of each other. Except Travis. He doesn't bore me at all. I like how his eyes are full of words, but mostly he doesn't let them out of his mouth, except for a zinger here or there like, 'I like your scarf.' I know he's not an undercover cop, but I still think he has a secret. Nobody shuts up that much unless they have a secret. He gave me his whole dessert today. It was only canned peaches, but still." Hey, I know. I bet he's secretly, tragically dying of leukemia. That's why he switched schools. He wants to be brave to the end and not have anybody know. But as I was getting up to leave, there was McQueen with his supersonic eyes staring at us. I bet he knows about Travis's leukemia.